Everyone at the local gym thought they knew her story the moment she walked in. Just another ordinary woman, wearing old leggings and a faded hoodie, standing awkwardly by the free weights. A few guys by the squat rack exchanged smug looks, whispering under their breath as they watched her struggle to adjust the barbell. Some of the regulars even laughed quietly, assuming she'd quit before she even broke a sweat. But what none of them knew was that this so-called simple woman carried more strength inside her than any of them could imagine. Every clang of metal and grunt in the gym seemed to grow louder as she chalked her hands, ignoring the side glances and the smirks. For weeks, she'd been training alone, arriving early when the gym was empty, leaving just as the crowd rolled in. No one noticed her then. They only saw her now because she was about to do something that would make them question every stereotype they'd ever held. In the corner, one trainer paused mid-conversation, watching her stack plate after plate onto the barbell. The whispers grew louder. "She's gonna hurt herself," someone muttered near the mirrors, but she didn't flinch. Her eyes locked on her reflection, her breathing slow and steady, remembering all the times she'd been told she was too weak, too small, too ordinary to ever lift heavy. As she stepped up to the bar, the whole gym seemed to pause, the air thick with disbelief and curiosity. No one could look away. Could this quiet, overlooked woman really deadlift 140 kilograms? Her fingers curled around the cold steel, her muscles tensed, her mind replaying every doubt ever thrown her way. And as she took a deep breath and began to pull, the entire gym held its breath, waiting to see the impossible. Long before she ever touched a barbell, Maya had been invisible to most people around her. She worked a quiet desk job, blending into the background while others got all the praise and attention. At home, she was the dependable one, the sister who helped everyone else chase their dreams while she quietly put hers on hold. Nobody expected her to stand out. Nobody even asked what she wanted for herself. But deep down, Maya carried a stubborn spark that refused to fade, no matter how often life tried to snuff it out. It all started one rainy evening when she passed by the gym on her walk home. Tired of feeling small and overlooked, she pushed open the heavy glass door and signed up without telling anyone. At first, she could barely lift the empty bar. Her hands blistered, her muscles ached for days, and some nights she wondered if she should just give up. But every time doubt crept in, she remembered the jokes at work, the people who never believed in her, and that memory fueled her more than any protein shake ever could at the gym. She noticed how the regulars always gathered in tight circles, nodding at each other while pretending she didn't exist. She learned to keep her headphones in and her eyes forward. Each lift was a secret promise to herself, a promise that she wouldn't stay invisible forever. And now, standing in front of the loaded barbell, Maya could feel every bruise, every drop of sweat, every early morning and late night settle into her bones like armor. She wasn't just lifting weight, she was lifting years of being underestimated. Around her, the gym buzzed with disbelief, but inside her mind, all she heard was her own heartbeat, daring her to prove everyone wrong. Behind Maya, a group of young men leaned against a bench, pretending to stretch but really just waiting for her to fail. One of them, Ryan, the self-proclaimed strongest in the gym, smirked as he watched her grip the bar. He had always loved being the center of attention, boasting about his deadlift records and correcting people's form even when they didn't ask. Seeing someone like Maya challenge what he thought was his territory didn't sit right with him. He nudged his friend and whispered something that made them both laugh. But their laughter quickly faded when they saw the quiet focus in Maya's eyes. In another corner, Sarah, one of the trainers, paused her session with a new client to keep an eye on Maya. She'd noticed her before, the woman who came in when no one was watching, lifting heavier and heavier each week without posting videos or fishing for compliments. Sarah respected that. She knew what it felt like to be doubted too, once upon a time. Part of her wanted to step in, to make sure Maya didn't get hurt. But something about the calm in Maya's face made her stay back. This wasn't just about weightlifting, while the plates rattled slightly as Maya adjusted her stance. The gym speakers blasted upbeat pop songs no one was really listening to anymore. All the noise seemed distant to her. In her head, she replayed the voices that told her she wasn't strong enough, that a simple woman like her had no place lifting with the big guys. She thought about her coworkers, who'd roll their eyes when she mentioned she'd started going to the gym. She remembered her own mother's worried sighs about her wasting time. Every doubt felt like extra fuel, adding more weight to the bar she was determined to lift. And somewhere deep inside the buzzing gym, others started to watch two people who knew how it felt to be overlooked, who now waited to see if Maya could do what they secretly wished they could do themselves. Just as Maya locked her grip tighter around the bar, a loud clang echoed from the other side of the gym. Ryan, annoyed that all eyes had drifted from him, decided to prove a point. He stomped over to the nearby deadlift platform and started loading plates onto his own bar, making a show of it with each slam of metal. He caught Maya's eye in the mirror and flashed a crooked grin as if daring her to compete with him. The tension in the air doubled instantly. A small crowd gathered between the two platforms now, torn between watching Ryan's ego lift and Maya's quiet challenge. Whispers floated around, some people betting he'd outlift her easily, others secretly hoping she'd stun him into silence. The energy crackled like static. Sarah moved closer, ready to step in if things got out of hand. She knew Ryan's type: all show, no patience. Always ready to make a scene when someone unexpected threatened his spotlight. Maya, though, didn't flinch. Inside, her heart pounded harder. This wasn't part of her plan. Boss. She never wanted to compete with anyone. Her fight was always with herself. But seeing Ryan puff up his chest, trying to overshadow her moment, reminded her of every man who ever talked over her in meetings. Every loud voice that drowned out her own. Without breaking her stance, she pulled in a deep breath, blocking out the clangs and Ryan's fake laughs. The bar under her fingers felt heavier than ever, but so did her reasons for lifting it. Around her, the gym was no longer just a room of weights. It was every room she'd ever been in, where someone like Ryan thought they could keep her small. And as he stepped up to his bar and the music shifted to a pounding beat, everyone waited, caught between two lifters and one question: who would break first? Ryan bent down, cracking his knuckles for dramatic effect as a few of his friends hyped him up with forced cheers. He yanked at his barbell first, veins, bulging teeth. Gritted, the plates lifted with a shaky pull, loud and messy. But the weight went up, barely. He dropped it with a loud thud, flexed his arms, and shot a smug look at Maya, expecting her to back down. Some of the crowd clapped half-heartedly, but more eyes turned back to her, now completely silent. Waiting, Maya barely blinked. She tightened her grip, her breath steady, her focus a tunnel around the bar in front of her. In that second, she wasn't thinking about Ryan, or the whispers, or the clanging music. She was thinking about every early morning she forced herself out of bed, every moment she showed up when no one saw her. With a small nod to herself, she braced her feet, her whole body tense but calm. Then, with one smooth pull, she lifted. The bar rose slowly, her muscles straining but controlled. Gasps echoed through the gym. Ryan's grin dropped, replaced by a stunned stare. Maya's arms locked out, shoulders back, eyes straight ahead. For a heartbeat, the whole place froze. Then a few people started clapping. Louder this time, real applause echoing off the walls. She lowered the bar with perfect form, not a single slam or show-off move. Just strength, plain and undeniable. Ryan tried to laugh it off, but his voice cracked as more people drifted from his side to Maya's. Even Sarah, who'd stayed near just in case, found herself smiling wide. But just as Maya caught her breath, someone tapped her shoulder. A quiet man in a simple tracksuit introduced himself as a coach for a local powerlifting team. He'd been watching all along, blending in. He asked if she'd ever thought about competing for real. Maya looked at the barbell, then at Ryan, then back at the coach's card in her hand. She didn't answer right away. She just smiled, knowing her story wasn't ending here. It was only just beginning. Maya stood there for a moment, staring at the card in her hand while the gym slowly returned to its usual rhythm. The clang of weights, the hum of treadmills, all of it felt different now. People who used to ignore her now gave her nods of respect as they passed. Even Ryan, red-faced and mumbling to his friends, avoided her eyes as he slipped out the side door. Sarah walked over and clapped Maya gently on the shoulder. "You know, you just changed a lot more than your own story today," she said with a grin. Maya laughed, still catching her breath, feeling her heartbeat slow to something calm and steady. It was strange. She'd come here to lift weights. But what she'd really done was lift a burden she'd carried for years. The coach stood nearby, waiting patiently. He didn't pressure her, just smiled like he knew she